Merry Christmas! This is my favorite time of year, and today I wanted to tell y'all about some magical winter beings. Some are fairies, some are deities. Now, before the like and subscribe buttons freeze to death, please click them. Without further ado, let's jump in. Up first is Nana Sarma and Amu Nurez. Nana Sarma means Lady Winter, Grandmother Frost, or Old Mother Winter, and Amu Nurez means Uncle Nurez. They come from Iran. Nana Sarma and Amu Nurez are in love, but because they represent winter and spring, they can never truly be together. Once a year, Amu Nurez comes, but Nana Sarma, exhausted from cleaning her home in preparation for his arrival, is asleep. So he kisses her and then continues walking the earth, spreading spring with every step. Amu Nurez is unique in that he is a spirit of spring and a Santa figure, because on the eve of spring equinox, when the Iranian New Year is celebrated, he gives children gifts. Number 2 is Tung Leo of China. The name means snow god. However, the character in her name represents 6 because of the hexagonal formation of snowflakes. There's basically a snowflake in her name when it's written in Chinese. She might have control or protection over animals during winter. Lastly, I've been using female pronouns for Tung Leo, but in my research it was not entirely clear if Tung Leo is a god or goddess. So if anybody knows the answer, please share in the comments. Traveling east to Japan, there are 2 winter yokai to learn about, and the first one is Chirera Ona, whose name means icicle woman. The basic conceit of the myth is that characters will meet a mysterious woman who's actually made from an icicle. Taking a bath or the arrival of spring causes the woman to melt, and at least one version of the story, the Chirera Ona, is a perfect wife except for the fact that she refuses to bathe. This is part of the worldwide trope of the fairy bride who can't do some ordinary things or she will return to the fairy realm or die. Interestingly, in the story of the Melusine, she refuses to be seen while bathing. Next is the Yuki Ona. The name means snow woman. Unlike the Chirera Ona, the Yuki Ona is deadly. She can appear as a beautiful woman, a child, or an old beggar woman. Yuki Ona often dress in white yukata, which is a thin summer kimono. Stories vary across Japan. One thing remains constant though, she chooses a form that enables her to prey on her victims and shove them down ravines to their deaths. Number 5 takes us down south to the Maori people to meet Hinitakura, the Winter Maid. She lives in the ocean and has dominion over the sea creatures. She's married to the sun god Tamanutera. They dwell together for half the year, and then he lives with his second wife, Hini Ramati, the summer maid. Tamanutera slowly travels back to Hinitakura, the winter maid, causing the days to get shorter and the nights to grow longer. Thus, the seasons change. Now we're off to Europe. The first European winter spirit that I want to talk about is the Cailleach. Cailleach Bar, Beira, Queen of Winter, or Dark Beira. Sometimes they are separate figures and sometimes they are one. She appears in Irish, Scottish, and Manx myth. Cailleach means old woman or hag in Gaelic and is related to the old Gaelic word Cailleach, which means veiled one. The second part of her name, Bear or Bera, may mean shrill or sharp. One thing that is consistent across all the stories is that she is old and associated with winter. Sometimes she is a giantess. In some of the legends, she becomes a young woman at the end of winter and then ages through the year, becoming old when winter comes. In other tales, she is opposed to spring and summer. In the Scottish tradition, Beira is the mother of the king of summer, Angus. She keeps Angus away from his spring wife, Bride, for half the year, causing fall and winter, but then Angus rescues Bride, bringing spring. Number 7 is Grandfather or Father Winter. He goes by many names, some of which I will cover. Died Moroz is Russian for Grandfather Frost, and most Slavic and or former Soviet Union countries use variations on this name. The other name that comes up is Morozko, also known as King or Father Frost. He appears in the Russian fairy tale, The Story of King Frost, where he demonstrates this character's darker side and gift-giving tendencies. At the risk of sounding reductive, Father Winter is kind of Slavic Santa Claus. However, he wears blue instead of red and is not plus-sized. Santa is an amalgamation of the historical figure St. Nicholas of Myra and various winter gods and spirits. Father Winter is much the same. He may have started off as a more menacing figure representing the deadly effects of frost, but was gradually softened into a Santa-like gift giver. During the time of the Soviet Union, He replaced Santa Claus and is still a major part of Russia and other former Soviet Union countries' holiday festivities. Across the Atlantic, in the lands traditionally inhabited by the various Algonquin peoples, is the Winter Maker, also known as Baboon, and many other variant names. Like Hini Takagura and Kalyag, he brings the winter. Winter Maker is represented in the night sky in a constellation that includes Orion, Procyon in Canis Minor, and Aldebaran in Taurus. The image shown here is an Anishinabeg depiction of the constellation. He is also a wind spirit and brings winter via the cold winds that he controls. The arrival of winter also signals a time for storytelling, as people spend more time indoors due to the cold, so perhaps Winter Maker can be seen as a spirit of storytelling. In the American Southwest, we meet the Snow Kachina. He lives on top of the San Francisco peaks in Arizona and sends the cold and snows down to the people. 2 websites I went to claim that he gives gifts during the Hopi bean dance ceremony. Other sources said a different Kachina, Sikya Kokolo, gives gifts. Interestingly, a Whipper or Ogre Kachina is also present to punish naughty children, which calls to mind the Santa-Krampus dynamic of Europe. The bean dance is at the start of spring, so the Snow Kachina's power would be waning or changing at this time to make way for spring. If anyone has more details on these myths or if I've said something inaccurate, please share in the comments. Last is one of the most surprising and interesting beings on this list, the Aztec god of winter. It's Tlacolicu. I didn't think the Aztecs would have a god dedicated to winter, but they do, and he's really neat. His name means curved point of obsidian. He has associations with death and darkness. Like some of the other figures on this list, he embodies the dangers of the cold of winter. In traditional iconography, he holds a talakpanani, a decorated straw broom symbolizing the coming of winter, as a time to sweep clean the home. This reminds me of the German Schnabelperchten, thousands of miles away, who carry brooms and appear in winter to punish people who haven't cleaned their homes. I hope you all had as much fun as I did learning about these winter spirits. I fell down so many research rabbit holes for this. At one point, I wound up looking at an English-Chinese dictionary. Anyway, I hope you all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I'll see you in the next video.